Hi, everybody. This is Brenna Cantner with Nexus Youth and Family Services. This is our April Wellness Workshop, and we are talking about supporting youth post-pandemic as we kind of reintegrate back into school and just ways and practical tips on supporting youth's mental health. We are just going to dive right in. So the first practical tip that we have for you is to plan ahead. The more you plan ahead as a family, the more it can alleviate worries or any stresses or anxiety that your child may be having. And it gives you an opportunity as the parent to kind of give your kids the tools that they need to feel confident through any transition, like going back to school. The other piece of this is if there's some nerves and anxiety about returning to school, make yourself aware of the school safety precautions and policies and review them with your child so they know what to expect when they go to school. Talking about feelings, in my opinion, always deserves a dedicated space to discuss. So in this instance, talking about worries and concerns with your kiddos, having a family meeting where you talk about their worries, their fears, their excitement, what they're looking forward to, what they might be worried about, but it's about just giving a safe space to share what's on their mind, regardless of what it is, whether it's excitement or worries, or you might have multiple kids, one feeling one thing, one feeling another, and having a family meeting can even encourage that conversation between your children to have just some shared feelings and discussion around any worries, concerns, feelings in general. Next up, anticipate some nerves and anxiety. I think just going into it thinking everyone's just going to jump right back into it. Yeah, everyone is having some nerves, like just around being around people again might bring out anxiety or nerves for youth and adults. If you're able to anticipate these nerves, you can also come up with some ways to cope with them when they do arise. So practicing deep breathing techniques, mindfulness activities, reframing negative thoughts into more positive ones. When you practice these things ahead of time, it gives you and your children tools so when the negative feelings do arise, your brain kind of knows what to do. And these things are good about helping your brain to calm down, lower stress when you're able to decrease a perception of threat around you, whether it's just being nervous. Your ability to think clearly and rationally is increased when you're able to calm that stuff down. When you're not able to calm it down, your ability to think clearly and rationally is lower. So using techniques like this to decrease stress and anxiety, really important. So checking in about mental health. The pandemic was a collective trauma for everybody, and we really don't know what the long-term impact of that is going to be on everybody, specifically as it relates to mental health. So we do know that rates of anxiety and depression have increased in kids and teens, really, and adults. Our usual structure and guidance and coping mechanisms have all shifted. We're not necessarily able to do the things that we used to do to take care of ourselves. That's shifting back into some normalcy right now, but we haven't had those typical coping skills necessarily available to us. So just be mindful. Parents should proactively check in about children's mental health, even if it's never come up as a concern before. Just having, kind of like what I said before, just having a space to have dialogue, and pay attention to any symptoms that, or signs of that something might be wrong. So isolation, irritability, not enjoying the things that they used to, lack of motivation, concerns about safety, things like that. So just pay attention. This is huge. Don't expect overnight changes. If your kiddo's nervous, don't expect it to get better overnight or after one day at school. This is a big transition. The best thing that you and your kiddos can do is to set realistic expectations and anticipate that it's going to take some time to get into a new groove. It's also really important to be flexible, um, you know, recognizing that things can change. This has been a pretty fluid dynamic situation with the pandemic, with things kind of loosening back up and then tightening back up after, an increase in cases, things like that. So I would, plan and expect for more hiccups, and just kind of be ready to roll with the punches. Stay flexible, stay adaptable, communicate with the school to stay on top of what the latest information is. You know, hopefully, I think we're getting closer to settling into something more consistent, but it's still important to just stay flexible. Be present and consistent. This is, again, I keep saying it, but I guess I can't stress it enough, is that this has all been just a collective stressful time of change and just a weird time, so trying your best to be present and predictable and consistent for your kids. So being there for them, following their lead, structure is really important. The transition back to school can be hard, but hopefully it's also the beginning of healing and consistency in the world around us. So the best thing you can do if your kiddo is having a hard time is to meet those reactions with compassion and calmness instead of also reacting. I think being able to name the feeling of being worried or anxiety or excited or whatever it is, just naming a feeling sometimes can be enough to kind of settle, avoid the you shouldn't feel a certain way, or feelings are valid because we feel them. So if your kiddo's having a hard time, just meet it with compassion and work on coping skills together. Here are some frequently asked questions that we've been getting here at Nexus in our therapy department and in our youth programs as well. My child is scared to go back to school. How can I help him feel at ease? You can make him feel at ease by just having an open conversation about what's worrying him. Normalizing the feelings around feeling nervous or anxious, reminding children of the positives, and working on coping skills together. My child is worried about bullying at school and online. How can I talk to them about it? If your kiddo is worried about bullying, it's just important to let them know they're not alone, and that they can always talk to you or another trusted adult, and just keep that door open. How can I gently check in to see how my child is coping? Be calm and proactive in your conversations with your children. Check in, keep an open dialogue. Their emotions will change, and show them it's okay. Just normalize the circumstances and the challenges of reintegrating and being mindful of mental health. Some things to remember. Number one, biggest thing, parents are models for their children. So if you are modeling calmness and practicing calming techniques, that will come through to your children. If you are overreactive or you are stressed out, that will feed into your kids. So just remember that parents are models for their children first and foremost. Communicate, create space for open discussion about feelings, emotions, mental health, bullying, whatever it may be. Create space for open discussion. Structure before, during, and after school, especially with changes and probably more changes to come. Just be mindful of structure and setting rules and boundaries and consistency around daily activities. Limiting screen time and social media. We've all been kind of, for the past year, stuck in telehealth or Zoom or whatever it is, all of the online platforms. So we've been kind of inundated with screen time. And then social media can just be toxic, and it feeds into fears often. So just being mindful and limiting that kind of screen time and social media. Staying in contact with school staff, just be in the know about any changes that can be expected so you can also help communicate that to your children. The 3 R's, reassure, routine, and regulate. right? So reassure your kids, establish routine, and regulate your own emotions and reactions. And lastly, ask for help. If you need help, ask. Whether it's a neighbor, a friend, a family member, ask for help if you need it. If you need some more support as it relates to mental health services, I have resource pages coming up in a minute, but ask for help. It's out there. Kids are resilient. That is important to remember. Resilience is important because it gives us strength to overcome life's challenges. And some of those key ingredients of resilience is individual, family, and community. So healthy relationships, having good role models, access to services, sense of belonging. And there's lots of ways to build resilience as well, connecting with others, laughing, taking deep breaths, unplugging and kind of putting the phone down, turning off the TV, having compassion and grace for yourself and others. Resilience is a journey, and it's something that we all have the ability to do. Some other resources are listed here. So Nexus Youth and Family Services, we have lots of services for children and families. We have XY Advocacy, 180 U-Turn, aggression replacement training, trauma therapy, and more. So if you have any questions or think something, one of our services might be a good fit, give us a call and we will see what fits for your family. In Monroe County Behavioral Health, I put a website here that's the network of care. It is a resource page that you can find tons of supportive services, from therapeutic services to substance use services, all of it for any age range too. Child Mind Institute, this is a good just website for coping during COVID-19, and it's resources for parents and families. And then there is a podcast called Parenting in a Pandemic that also is great. As always, thank you so much for joining us. Thanks for watching. Please like, share, and subscribe. If you have any questions or you are needing some support, please call us and let us know. If you have some ideas or hope for an upcoming presentation for our wellness workshops, please also let us know. We can't wait to talk with you, and we will see you next time.